Since I was 14, I paid for every Christmas. This year, my family gifted me a six-figure debt and slammed the door in my face. 2 days later, my lawyer gifted them a legal nightmare. So ever since I hit 14, I've been the one footing the bill for Christmas. It all started when Dad lost his job. Mom just said, "We're cutting back this year, honey. I know you understand." I just nodded and dipped into the little stash I'd saved from my after-school job. And that's how it all began. There wasn't a signed agreement, but somehow this unspoken rule that I'd handle the expenses just settled in. Each year, I ended up covering more and more. The gifts, decorations, the catering when Mom didn't feel like cooking, and even paying off credit card debt that suddenly and mysteriously became mine. It was like clockwork. Big Bro will sort it out. And I did. Until this year, when my sister Rachel texted me out of nowhere. Her message was just, "You pay, I belong." No Merry Christmas, not even an emoji. I was so thrown, I just stared at my phone for ages. At first, I just felt empty. That kind of emptiness that's been building up over the years. I mean, Rachel's the beloved 25-year-old who's never held a full-time job, still living at home rent-free, and who once had the nerve to call me boring for budgeting my money. And now she was making a joke out of me being the family's unofficial accountant. I didn't respond, and I didn't call. Still, I showed up on Christmas Eve. The house was packed, cars everywhere. Mom, Dad, Rachel, her boyfriend, even Aunt Susan, who hadn't been around in years, were all there. You could see the house glowing from the frost on the windows, and laughter was pouring out. I brought one box, and that was it. No bags full of gifts like I used to bring every year. Just one tiny box. Mom opened the door, looking a bit too pleased with herself. "Oh, you actually came," she said, in that sweet yet sharp tone. She handed me the box and slammed the door. I just stood there, my breath fogging up in the cold. Inside the box was just an envelope. I opened it up to find legal paperwork. 6 figures of credit card debt, all in my name. "Merry Christmas," I whispered to the night air. I just stood there, holding that box, while something cold inside me broke. Not rage, not surprise, just something colder. But to be honest, it didn't all come crashing down at that moment. It started years ago. The first time was just a bit of extra groceries after Dad was laid off. Mom called it pitching in, and I remember feeling pretty proud handing over my part-time paycheck. Felt good, like I was useful. Things started piling on bit by bit every year after. By 17, I was buying the tree and half the gifts. By 19, I was paying for Rachel's first college deposit because she forgot to apply for scholarships. By 22, I was co-signing on credit cards because Mom said it'd help Rachel build credit. And when Dad's second business folded, it was just temporary until we get back on our feet, son. I kept paying, kept nodding along, convincing myself this was normal and what families do. But they weren't just asking for help, they were setting up this system where I was the fixer, quietly dealing with the gaps they left behind. Rachel never felt the struggle like I did. While I juggled 2 jobs through college, she was switching majors like she was changing shoes, posting beach pics with captions like "self-care matters." When she moved back home at 25, nobody even reacted. Mom kept calling her "our baby" like she was still a kid. Dad would brag about how she's finding herself. And me? I was the one working 2 jobs, cleaning up their messes. When cars broke down, I paid. When Dad's medical insurance lapsed, I footed the bill. When Rachel overdrew her account, guess who got the call? They never really thanked me. Instead, they acted like it was just how things should be. An expectation that I'd always be the one to deal with it all. "Big Bro's got it," they'd say. "He's so responsible, better with money." They said it like a compliment, but it was a burden I carried for years. I kept convincing myself it was out of love. That one day, they'd see what I was doing for them. But every time I thought they might finally get it, they proved me wrong. About 2 months ago, things took a turn for the worse. Rachel called me up late, like 11:42 p.m., asking for a huge favor. The dealership turned down her loan and she just needed a co-signer. "I've got the payments, swear," she said, throwing in a please. Dad also chimed in, saying it's no big deal. And like a fool, I signed. A 48,000 SUV, 0 down, fully loaded. She drove it out like she'd won a prize, posting all these stories of her with the car, captions like, Manifestation works when you've got the right people around you. The right people. That was me. 3 weeks ago, Dad called. They wanted my name on some consolidation loan just for a short time to get better rates. Trust me, he said. My gut twisted, but the words just slipped out. All right. That's who I was to them. The dependable one, always ready to help, but nothing could have prepared me for what came next. So last week, I got this thick envelope in the mail, certified no less. Inside were a bunch of documents basically dumping over $136,000 of DC news. Beat on me. We're talking credit card debt, lines of credit, private loans, the whole shebang, all carefully shuffled into my name. The kicker? All the signatures were forged. This wasn't some one-off mistake. It was a calculated move like they'd been planning for months, quietly piling up this financial mess and sticking it to me as if I were just some random credit mule. 2 days before Christmas, I got a text from my sister, Rachel. She goes, "Guess what, big bro? You pay. I belong." No holding back, no shame, just gall. There I sat, staring at her message while everyone else was getting into the holiday spirit, shopping, ice skating, singing carols, and I was just trying to wrap my head around this family gift of over 6 figures in debt. I didn't text back, didn't show up with gifts, but I did drive over there on Christmas Eve. I pulled up and parked across the street, watching the house all decked out for the holidays. Rachel's SUV was in the driveway, shining like some trophy I supposedly bought for her. The place was buzzing, laughter spilling out while I stood outside. I had one small box with me, no bags of gifts like other years, no big surprises, just the box. I rang the bell, and Mom opened the door, wine glass in hand, wearing this plastic smile. "Oh," she said, like she couldn't decide whether to pretend to be surprised or annoyed. Rachel showed up behind her, all smug and grinning. "Big bro, look who decided to stop by." Mom handed me the box they'd clearly prepped. "Here's your special gift, honey," she said, shutting the door behind her. The deadbolt clicked into place. I stood there in the chilly December air, just breathing out fog, and opened the box. Inside was another thick envelope, tied with a crimson ribbon to make it look festive. It was the debt paperwork again, transferring everything to me officially. Merry Christmas, right? I sat in my car for about an hour after that, staring at those papers, staring at the house, the same house I helped save when Dad almost lost it, the house I sacrificed for, only to be shut out now. Sitting there, I didn't feel anger or heartbreak, just stillness. This wasn't the first time I'd been betrayed, just the last straw. Christmas morning came and went. No calls, no texts. Then, boom, my credit app pinged me. New credit inquiry detected. They'd applied for a home equity loan in my name for another $50,000. They weren't done milking me. By the next day, my phone blew up with messages. Dad was like, "Son, I know how this looks, but you have to understand. We were consolidating. It's tough out there." Mom chimed in, "Honey, don't be dramatic. These accounts are temporary. You're just better at managing payments, that's all. We trust you." Even Rachel had to put her 2 cents in. "You're overreacting. We're family, you know. You always handle the big stuff. That's your role." To them, I was just a role. Dull. A bank account with a heartbeat. No brother, no son, just function. Then, 2 days later, my old college friend Jason texted me, "Yo, man, didn't know you bought your folks a second house? Big moves." Attached was a screenshot of Rachel's Instagram story, her posing in front of a new house, all smiles, with the caption, "Couldn't have done it without my big brother, the real MVP of the family." And then, underneath, out had "Blessed, family, first, I'm forever grateful." She tagged me like this whole theft was a sweet holiday surprise. Looking at that picture, seeing the comment, praising me for things they knew nothing about, something snapped, but I didn't blow up. I didn't send angry texts. Instead, I opened up this black folder I'd kept locked away for months, a full audit of everything. So I had all the dirt I needed. The fake signatures, hidden accounts open behind my back, the whole shebang. I was ready to take down their little empire. I grabbed my phone and called Mark, my lawyer. He picked up after just a couple of rings. "It's time, isn't it?" he asked. I didn't even think twice. "Yep, let's kick things off. They thought they had me trapped, but little did they know, I'd been plotting this moment for years. I let them think I'd always be there until now. Things crumbled faster than I thought. Just 2 days after Mark filed the papers, everything started to unravel. Bank accounts got frozen, credit lines were cut, and fraud investigations launched for every fake signature. I didn't have to lift a finger. The system took care of it all. I just sat in my apartment sipping coffee while my phone buzzed nonstop with missed calls, voicemails, and panicked texts. At 7:13 a.m., Mom called. "Honey, it's all a misunderstanding. We just need you to sort it out with the bank. Do it for the family." Dad followed at 7:19 a.m. with a text. "Son, don't do this. There are real consequences. You're going to ruin us." Rachel chimed in at 7:28 a.m. with her usual drama. "Are you serious? You always handle this stuff. You're wrecking everything for no reason." I let the messages pile up, figuring they could sweat it out. By noon, they changed their strategy. Mom called again. "You've always been the strong one, holding us together. Please don't throw that away." Dad's next message was chilly. "You're making a permanent mistake." And Rachel, well, she went full Venom mode. "You're being selfish. Do you even care what happens to us, to me?" That's when it hit me. Even now, as everything was coming down around them, they still saw me as their lifeline. Not out of love or guilt, but like I was their personal ATM, expected to bail them out every time they messed up. Later that day, Mark sent over a letter from their lawyer. They wanted to talk, offering to hand over assets and clear debts to avoid criminal charges. I knew they felt the heat, but I wasn't interested in deals. I wanted freedom. Around 8:42 p.m., my doorbell rang. I let it ring a few times before opening it. Rachel was there, looking far from her usual confident self, hair a mess, eyes red, breathing shaky. "Please," she said, almost whispering. "Can we talk? Just us." I stayed put. "You've made your point." "Okay, things got out of hand. We needed help, and you always helped." Her voice cracked. "Dad's freaking out. Mom's sick over this. We could lose everything. I could lose everything." I stayed silent. She scanned my face, desperately searching for a hint of sympathy. "I'll fix it. I'll move the loans back. We'll put everything in your control. Just stop this." She said it like she was offering a gift. Control. That was always the bait. Let me be the one in charge, the one they could keep bound by responsibility. But I wasn't here to negotiate my own captivity again. "No," I said quietly. She gasped like I had hit her. "You're serious?" I didn't blink. "It's done, Rachel." An hour later, the third wave hit. Their social world started to crumble. Instagram posts vanished, comment sections erupted with questions, and friends started gossiping. Dad's business partner bailed. Mom's charity board put her role on hold due to personal legal matters. Rachel lost followers as rumors spread. Their facade of a perfect family was cracking wide open. The family group chat that once buzzed with fake holiday plans, passive-aggressive messages, and money requests went silent. No Merry Christmas messages, no rent help requests, nothing. For once, I could hear myself think. I cooked dinner, ate in peace, and enjoyed my coffee while it was still hot. It wasn't a celebration, just a sense of calm and freedom. They thought I'd never leave, never fight back, never have the courage. But now they know I did. The fallout didn't just stop at the financial stuff. It seeped into every part of their lives. 2 weeks later, I got a certified letter about foreclosure proceedings on their house at 481 Crestline Drive. The same house I helped save countless times, the same house they locked me out of one Christmas Eve. Now it was slipping away from them. The calls kept coming. Dad tried a different approach. "Son, don't let pride tear this family apart. Oh, we can fix this together. Together." That word left a bitter taste. Together when they forged my name? Together when they sunk into debt? So, it was all about my identity getting messed around with. They posted online making it look like I was totally on board, like I was their biggest cheerleader or something. Nope, it was just me feeding them all along. Then, a few days later, Mom chimes in. She starts saying I'm punishing everyone, not just her and Dad. She goes on about how Rachel's a wreck, barely eating. It felt like a script I'd heard a million times. She sounded like she was about to cry. But it wasn't sadness I heard, just fear. fear of losing her comfy life, fear of finally facing the music. They always tried to keep it all together, but they really depended on me, and that was the only true thing she said. Rachel made one last-ditch attempt with this long, dramatic letter she wrote by hand. It was all over the place emotionally. She admitted she was scared. We all were, honestly. They had no clue how to fix things and figured I'd just step in like always. The letter ended with, "You're still my big brother." I read it twice, not because I was torn, but to fully grasp just how entitled they felt. Even after everything went down, Rachel thought that family ties could somehow wipe out the betrayal. She believed being siblings meant more than theft or fraud or all those years they took advantage of me. It didn't. Then 3 weeks later, Mark calls with the final bombshell. The federal investigation was moving full speed ahead. My testimony wasn't even needed. They had enough already. Wire fraud, identity theft, tax evasion, the state was going after them hard. Rachel faced felony charges, Dad was getting audited, and Mom was named a co-conspirator. Mark asked if I was sure I didn't want to negotiate, maybe get some of what they took back. I didn't even think twice. I told him I didn't want a cent. Let the chips fall where they may. He sighed and got it. The news hit a week after that. Local stations, social media, you name it. Headlines everywhere. Family busted for a long-running identity fraud scheme. Over $200,000 stolen. Their photos were all over the internet, their names dragged through the mud in the same places they once used to brag about me. They had posted those fake family dinners and holiday pics, and now they were front-page news. Neighbors whispered, old friends vanished, business partners ran for the hills, and sponsors bailed. Their little charade crumbled completely. As for me, I finally got some peace. I slept straight through the night, 8 solid hours, without waking up to money worries. No more middle-of-the-night texts asking for help, no more emergency Venmo requests, no more guilt-ridden voicemails, and definitely no more fake holiday cheer. Just pure, blissful silence. Months later, I received one last text from a burner phone. It was obviously Rachel. It said, "You'll end up with no one left. You know that, right?" I read it, let it sink in, and smiled because for the first time ever, I truly felt free. Alone maybe, but free. That night, watching the snow fall outside my apartment window, I whispered 3 little words they'd never hear. Merry Christmas. That's what happens when the quiet one finally walks away. If you haven't yet, please subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more crazy real-life stories happening around you.